This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
And welcome everybody to episode 27 of the Animaniacast.
Camptown race is 5 miles long. Doo-dah, doo-dah.
And welcome to the Animaniacast. We are a podcast dedicated to the animated television series Animaniacs. I think we're the only podcast dedicated to the Animaniacs.
For sure.
Each and every week we revisit an episode of the series in the order in which it was released. We discuss all the cultural references, all the gags. We share our memories of first watching the episode and what we think about the episode today. At the end we give it all a water tower rating. I am Joey, and joining me once again is my brother Nathan.
I got ants in my pants and I'm gonna dance.
Oh, okay. Stop dancing. No, stop it, Nathan. Stop.
Okay.
Sit down. Okay. And across the country, all the way in Georgia, is Kelly.
Hello.
Hey, Kelly. Well, today we got an episode. Last week we had an episode that was about over an hour. It had lots and lots of references to stuff, and we talked about it ad nauseum.
Yes.
Lots of Muppet Show stuff to talk about.
I was nauseated by the end, for sure.
But this episode, however, it's kind of a different kind of story, because I don't know if we'll have that much.
I think we can do even longer.
Oh, let's go for it. 4 hours.
4 hours. I think we could double it.
But today we have today's episode 27 with the following segments. You risk your life. Or it's more like, you risk your life. There we go. I got your can, and Jockey for position. And Nathan, when did this episode first premiere?
All right, well, I'm going to take you back to 1993.
Okay.
Dream Lover by Mariah Carey's top of the charts. Okay?
Okay.
The Philadelphia and Blue Jays just finished off their World Series. And, of course, the Blue Jays won.
Okay.
And Vincent Price died. This was October 25th, 1993, Monday.
Vincent Price.
Mm.
That's my Vincent Price impression.
Yeah.
Vincent Price.
It's good. It's better than mine.
How did yours go?
I'm Vincent Price.
Oh, that is bad.
Sorry.
Okay. So anyway, I win the Vincent Price, imitation contest this week.
For sure.
We'll see who wins the Vincent Price imitation contest next week.
It's a weekly thing now, everybody.
We'll bring in another contestant on the Animaniacast. But so this episode, what do you guys think? In just a few words, what do you think about this particular episode? Kelly, let's go with you first.
It's not one of my favorites.
And Nathan, what about you?
Pinky and the Brainy, I guess. I'll say that again.
At least you got that segment. This episode, I think it. I had to go through that Slappy segment a few times to appreciate it. I think a little bit. It was well. Let's start first of all with the variant verse for this one, because this one's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
This one was Miscellany.
Miscellany.
And it's kind of weird when you hear Yakko actually say it. It sounds like it sounds like he says Miscellany.
Yeah,
but but her little thing across her chest says Miscellany.
Yes.
And to me, as a kid, I never got that joke.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got it. But I mean, it's a visual one that you don't get unless you hear it. It's miscellany. It's like,
yes, as in miscellaneous.
Yeah.
So there we go. A cute little variant right there. And then we have Dot's Poetry Corner.
The shoe. There was an old woman who lived in a shoe, and boy, did it stink in there. Thank you.
And then the second one, we have Dot's Poetry Corner, which is Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear.
Mm-hmm.
Fuzzy Wuzzy. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair. Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't fuzzy. So he changed his name to Ed Asner. Thank you.
Which is cool. Ed Asner voiced not only the bear that he did voice a bear earlier in this, and totally forget the bear that he wasn't he? He was the bear at the yard sale, the big yard sale.
Oh,
Yeah, the garage sale.
Yeah, the
I call
garage
him
sale,
Papa
yeah.
Bear, but I don't know what his actual name was.
Yeah, he looked like Papa Bear from the Looney Tune cartoons, but he wasn't Papa Bear. And I just saw this online today. He actually voiced Cosgrove on Freakazoid, too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Cosgrove. I like Cosgrove.
He was very funny.
So, and of course, he was and I'm forgetting his name again from Up.
Oh,
The old man in Up. Someone out
Carl?
there. Carl
Carl.
Fredrickson. That was his
There we
name,
go.
right? All right. Well, there we go. We got the Dots Poetry Corners. And what do you guys think? Dots Poetry Corner?
It was fine.
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah.
I was playing this episode today for the kids in the library, and the Dots Poetry Corner of Fuzzy Wuzzy did get some kids laughing. They were repeating Fuzzy, because it's just fun to say the words Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. It's just fun to say. So, yeah, cute stuff with Dots Poetry Corner. Never a huge fan of how it's animated, but everything else is cool about it, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have basically two major segments in this. We have the Slappy Squirrel one, and we have the Pinky and the Brain one.
Mm-hmm.
But starting it all off is, I guess you could kind of call it a segment. It's only 2.5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
It's You Risk Your Life. You Risk Your Life was written by Paul Rugg, and it was directed by Alfred Gimeno. Now, this one right here, if you're watching Animaniacs on Netflix, ladies and gentlemen, as of right now, December, what is this? December something from 2016, you could not see this on Netflix. Because it's not on there. It just goes directly to Slappy Squirrel. In fact, you don't see the first Dots Poetry Corner. You don't see the Animaniacs theme song or the variant verse that we just mentioned.
So we could be making all this up. You don't know.
Well, you could see it on DVD. I mean, you could watch it on
that's
DVD and all that. And the first segment right here, You Risk Your Life. Nathan, you wrote Netflix and actually kind of, complained or something, right?
Well, I was just like, hey, what's with not having the beginning of the episode? And they said it was probably due to like royalties or copywriting kind of things. Yeah.
So the only thing I could think of that would be copyright on this would be the footage of that audience. And every reference guide that we could find said it was like stock footage of an audience. Well, obviously it's stock footage from some movie.
Singing in the no.
Nathan and I was certain. I said, "Oh, I know what footage that's from. That's from Singing in the Rain," and I was close. Nathan and I before we started recording right now actually popped in the Blu-ray of Singing in the Rain and went through every audience shot and. It looks
similar.
It looks similar. I could see. I'm like, okay, well, at least it was close.
Yeah.
Like it's the same Technicolor kind of look. So it looks like a movie that's made in the late 40s, early 50s with Technicolor kind of color. But as far as we can tell, it's not an audience from Singing in the Rain. But hey, once again, I'm going to go to the audience. If anyone knows what audience that is, I'm curious because. That might be the reason why that this first segment is not featured on Netflix. So there we go.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, You Risk Your Life. Basically, it's a takeoff of or a parody of the show You Bet Your Life. This was the kind of a old game show with Groucho Marx.
It's Groucho Marx in You Bet Your Life. Brought to you by new White Lifebuoy, the active soap for active people. Wonderful new fragrance. It's a miracle in white.
Makes a lot of sense that Yakko Warner would be doing, You Risk Your Life or,
You Bet
Your Life parody right here, since he does do so many Groucho Marx kinds of things in the show. Basically, he has these two contestants come up.
Welcome to You Risk Your Life. Say the secret word and Wacko will hit you on the head with a mallet.
That's a takeoff of in the You Risk Your... I'm sorry, now I'm going to get them two mixed up. In You Bet Your Life, Groucho Marx would say the secret word and win $100 or something like that. A duck would come down that kind of looked like Groucho, and then you'd win $100. Well, basically, in this one, Aristotle comes out, and a woman that looks like Elmira's mom, but is identified as Myra Puntridge, come out, and they're supposed to say, in the secret word is yes.
Yes.
So the word that no one's going to say, right?
Yeah.
Now, Myra, you're a homemaker, is that right?
Oh, correct.
What kind of homes do you make? And Aristotle, let's see here. It says you are a philosopher, is that correct?
Yes.
Congratulations, you said the secret word. Well,
And of course, Aristotle says yes, gets hit on the head a few times.
Yep.
For some reason, Aristotle can't get it into his head
Not to say yes.
not to say yes. Maybe after the first hit, he kind of got a little bit of a concussion, and he kind of forgot what was going on. I don't know. But at the end of it all, that's, they get hit on the head and they win the money, and that was pretty much it.
Yep.
I guess there's one other slight cultural reference right there. In the Groucho Marx original game show, the theme, Groucho's theme, a.k.a. Hooray for Captain Spaulding, would play. And in this one, the orchestra plays I Am the Very Model of a Cartoon Individual when Yakko makes his appearance. So there you go. Groucho usually didn't have such an appearance of going through a curtain or anything like that. Usually in the original show, he would just be sitting there like, here's Groucho. And he'd be like, yeah, that's me.
Because that would be a lot of curtains to ruin.
Yeah, that would be a lot of no cutting through curtains or anything like that. Well, guys, this was a short segment right here, short little cartoon. Nathan, what do you think about it?
I thought it was cute. I liked the audience. It was it made me smile every time seeing the live footage of audiences.
Yes, it reminded me a lot of, I think Freakazoid had at least one or two episodes where they used, if not that exact audience, then a very similar kind of gag where go to the fake audience.
And they're clapping and yay.
Yeah. Kelly, what about you?
The thing I was most struck by is how much I kept focusing on Myra and her big bow in her hair. And I remembered when adult women would wear big bows and ponytails in their hair. And I guess that was sort of late 80s, early 90s, which was when this show aired. And it just sort of took me back. And I remember that style in a lot of sitcoms of that era, too.
Yeah, she definitely does look like a TGIF kind of woman, doesn't she? Like she just got off the set of ABC, like Step by Step or something. And
yeah,
walked right into the thing. Yeah, whenever I see bangs like that, God, kids at my elementary school, I don't know if they did this in the Southeast. I'm pretty sure it was everywhere. But girls at my school had bangs that in the early 90s that they would take Aquanet and they would spray it so that it was like almost like a fin up in the air. It was crazy. They do that everywhere, I'm assuming, right?
Oh, yeah. My older sisters in particular, because they were even doing it back in the 80s. And particularly my eldest sister just went crazy with the hairspray. And I don't know how she got some of those hairstyles. It was insane.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like the movie Can't Buy Me Love or something like that with all those girls that have that kind of hair. Yep, that was the hairstyle going on.
That's too much work.
So yes, the hairstyle in Myra Puntridge, definitely very 90s-ish. And yeah, that was kind of cool. I remember actually watching the original You Bet Your Life. Nathan, you ever watch an episode of You Bet Your Life? Kelly?
I've seen clips and things like that, but never watched an episode.
I believe you can watch the entire series on YouTube, and I don't think there's any copyright. Who knows? I don't think there's any copyright notices on that one. I know that a few years ago, I actually watched a few episodes. They were streaming on Netflix just for like a brief time, and I remember watching the show in the early 90s, actually, when the Comedy Central was first starting off, and there was like nothing on Comedy Central. Like, it was not even called Comedy Central. It was called, at one point, just the Comedy Channel. And another point, I think it was called Ha, like H-A, like Ha. You're listening.
I remember that.
Yeah. And they would show like all this old, cheap stuff that they didn't have to produce. It was just reruns. So like, Ernie Koufax, I think, was one of the shows, and one of them, and they would show this, and they would show You Bet Your Life, and I saw Laurel and Hardy for the first time on TV watching all that. So ha. Yeah, but it's good stuff. I would consider, if you're into Groucho Marx, it's very. Even when you're watching that, Groucho was an older man at this point. I'm guessing maybe at least in his 60s, maybe even 70s. But his mental acuity, his wit was very strong. He would be able to, he was just a really witty guy. And you can really see it by those old clips. People would very rarely win the $100 or whatever it was. They would very rarely say the secret word. In fact, I think a lot of that show was just literally talk with Groucho, and then he'd ask you some questions every now and then.
What is your age, Clarence?
I'm 25.
What kind of work do you do, Clarence?
I'm a geologist.
Don't change the subject. I asked you what kind of work. Well, geologists are really doing a wonderful work these days. Now, what do they do?
Oh, we study rocks. Hunt for minerals, hunt for oil, hunt for anything valuable in the Earth's surface.
You actually look for rocks, is that it?
That's right.
Just wanted to be sure. In this program, we never take anything for granted, you know. Stop groaning. It's free, you know this. Nobody forced you to come down here tonight. I could have used all your tickets tonight. Now, as a mining engineer, what would you say is the most valuable mineral?
I'd say coal.
You would, huh? I'd hate to bring a girl a wedding ring made out of coal. How about uranium? Do you ever look for that?
Oh, yes, we look for uranium, although it's scarce enough around here, so normally it's only when we're looking for some other mineral as well.
You mean if you want to find uranium, you have to look for something else?
Well, that's what we do, yes.
That's kind of ridiculous. Why don't you start out looking for uranium? And then maybe you'd find coal.
It's just funny watching that show because the stakes are so, by today's standards, very low. Like, at the very end of it, you could win $1,000.
Whoa.
Which, by today, we're like, well, that's pretty good. But in today's game show world, that would be like the first round.
Yeah, the third round, maybe.
By question
100, 500,000, and then...
Yeah, that would not be an episode of Jeopardy I would want to watch. But anyway. Well, let's move over to the next segment. Segment, I guess we could call it 2. Segment 2 is called I Got You Can, and it's written by Sherry Stoner and directed by Alfred Gimeno. And Kelly, what happens in this Slappy cartoon?
Slappy is going to the store and she's drinking out of a soda can. And as she finishes the drink, and as she's walking by one of her neighbor's houses, she sees a trash can and throws the can in the trash can and then continues on her way. But her neighbor comes out and says, "Excuse me, and do you mind?" And Slappy's already irritated, and it's this chipmunk with this little high squeaky voice. And she said that Slappy needed to take the can out of her trash can and go back to her tree and put it in her trash can. And of course, Slappy decides to get revenge and spends the rest of the episode trying to blow the chipmunk up, and the chipmunk retaliates, and they go back and forth.
Yes, it's
basically the formula of a Slappy episode.
Yeah, basically. Hit one person or drive them crazy until they blow up numerous times.
Yeah.
But somehow Slappy is going to win. Don't mess around with Slappy.
Yeah, just get out of her way. Little old lady from Pasadena. Or whatever.
Yes. Well, it was a cute, Slappy cartoon. There's, various references to things as we go around. I mean, number one, first of all, this is actually based on a true story. Sherry Stoner said, I believe it was in the DVD commentary or one of the features for it, actually, that this was based upon a real event. Just the whole thing of putting a can in someone else's trash can and having that person get very upset about how dare you. Now, I've done this before. Have you done this, Nathan? You're just like passing down the street and you see somebody have their trash can out in the street.
Yeah, and I feel like I've gotten, or someone next to me got in trouble for doing that, and I'm like, really, like, who cares? Like, the trash can is going to be picked up like today too.
Right. I mean, I can understand if you're like dumping a lot of trash into it. Yeah, but
like a can, and they would get upset, and it's just like,
yeah, it is a real occurrence. Yeah, Kelly, has anyone ever have you ever seen anyone get up, in trouble for doing this?
No, I can't imagine why anyone would mind. It's not like they have to go into the trash can and empty it themselves.
Exactly.
It's on the curb. The truck will pick it up.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but it's happened. I want to say this almost sounds like the beginning of a Seinfeld episode or something. It's like George Costanza doing something and then George getting into this big fight.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a Curb Your Enthusiasm about it or something. So,
well, there's lots of different things that number one, Slappy says, "Hey, lady, I'm not interested in Amway," which I've never had anyone try to sell me Amway products. Apparently, they're very pushy salespeople. Then she talks about, who did she say? Alan Funt is a dead man? Is that what?
Would you mind removing your can from my trash receptacle?
Alan Funt is a dead man.
Yeah.
And Alan Funt was the host of Camera Candid. Candid Camera. And so Alan Funt no longer around. In fact, Candid or Candid or Candid Camera, both of them are canceled, I believe.
Yeah, that's true.
Now we just have lots of jerks out there on the street doing it, like, and posting it on Facebook. Like, look at the funny prank I did on somebody.
Yeah, you don't need Candid Camera. You got phone camera.
Yeah, everyone's...
You're on phone camera.
Everyone's a comedian these days, let me tell you. The chipmunk's name's Candy. Yeah, it's probably... Hey, speaking of Candid Camera, her name's Candy Chipmunk.
Camera. Oh.
At one point, she's, typing. She's getting like really kind of going crazy in the wintertime, waiting for this walnut diet soda can to come back into her life somehow. And she starts typing like on the typewriter, like in The Shining. I think all cans and no play.
All work and no play. No cans.
All work and no cans make Candy
adult chipmunk. Right before Santa comes in, right?
Yes, and then she's certain that has to be Slappy in costume somehow.
Ho, ho, ho! Have I got something for you?
A present from Santa Slappy? Let me guess. Could it be a can?
Being the jolly representation of the holidays isn't what it used to be.
That's probably the one shot I really like the most is when Santa comes in and then there's this just shot of just her eyeballs looking across.
Yeah, it's almost a still.
It's like a still image, but it's like painted and it looks really kind of creepy. That was probably my favorite part of this cartoon, actually, was just that. And, there's this little part where like, Candy's going insane, like, I'm just give it to me. And then
I can't take it any longer. Give it to me.
What about the plot, Hemingway? What's an anvil got to do with this story?
Who cares? Anvils are funny.
Kids, what the heck can you do?
Ernest Hemingway, of course, is an author, in case anybody didn't know about that.
He wrote something, I'm sure.
He wrote many things, yes.
Oh, okay.
And, there was even a Tiny Toons guy that the host, Blink Winkleman, is on here. And he kind of looks like a Pat Sajak-ish kind of guy.
The nuns from the candy episode were there too.
Or at least I know I recognized one of them.
Yeah.
But there was a few backup nuns in that the big candy store, so I'm sure probably both of them were there. I was very confused about on the game show. You see what is it called? Like there was a hangman's noose and stuff like that on for some reason they said, "Welcome back to the big game show, the new game show."
Yeah. It's a new game show called the new game show.
But on the first shot of the new game show, right behind them, there's like a hangman's noose and like a gallows set up. I have no idea what's going to go on in this game show. It's only in one quick shot, so it might have been a deleted scene for some reason. Candy's very concerned about what she's going to wear, so trading everything in, going in for the curtain, which is like, let's make a deal. Which is still on, and I love that show. Oh yeah, and there's one last thing. When like she looks at each time, of course, the can is continually showing up in creative ways to drive the chipmunk crazy. You hear the wah, 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 wah sound over and over again. I suppose that song, the cue is apparently called "You're a Horses," and. I remember hearing that in some Looney Tunes cartoons every now and then, and apparently it was in some World War II cartoons called Private Snafu. I just went through all the references.
Well, Animaniacs were in it too.
That's true. They were in it. For a quick moment where they saw the Vanna Whitish woman and said, "Hello, nurse."
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about it for a second. Okay. Candy's voice.
Yeah.
Annoying.
Sometimes I liked it, and sometimes I was very annoyed by it.
They digitally pitched it in such a way that it was grating to me at sometimes. Like, it sounded like wobbly or something. It's hard to describe. But in that one scene where the Warner Brothers came out, it sounded to me like even Dot's voice was pitched up for some reason. I'll put an audio clip right here. When you listen to that, it just sounds like, did they just pitch up Dot's voice? And why did they pitch up Dot's voice? Or, I don't know, just the the sound quality of this episode is just kind of weird to me. I did not like Candy's voice. But anyway, let's talk about what you didn't like. Well, it's what we did like. What did you like?
I liked Slappy, Skippy, thank you. When Skippy's giving out squirrel cookies.
Oh yeah.
I like how she's like, "Oh, that's appropriate. What an appropriate thing to do to have people be more like me."
Yes, I like when Skippy looks at the camera and then lifts his
and winks as if we didn't
know. Hey guys, it's just me. Kelly, what about you?
I liked it when Candy sort of turned into Rambo and had the grenades, and she went crazy.
Yeah, she did. It was very Rambo-esque.
Prepare to eat it, Slappy.
Oh my goodness! Oh my gracious!
Ha! Gotcha.
Yeah, that was a cute part right there.
It's like Gizmo and Gremlins too.
Spew.
That's right. It's the first time Skippy says spew.
That's right.
And he even then he says it again
twice, and then says it again at the very end.
Yeah. The secret word of today's episode is spew.
Spew.
And Skippy would get hit on the head 3 times.
Yeah.
Well, any other things we want to say about this first this Slappy cartoon, or should we just move right on? All right. Well, Nathan's giving me this look of no,
absolutely not.
Oh, I'm offended by the thought of saying anything more about this. Okay, well, let's move right on over to the next one, which is a Pinky and the Brain cartoon.
Woohoo!
This is Maurice LaMarche, the voice of the Brain, and you are listening to the Animaniacast.
The next cartoon we have is called Jockey for Position, and it is written by Peter Hastings and directed by Leonard Robinson and Dave Marshall. And Nathan, what happens in this Pinky and the Brain short?
So Pinky and the Brain are trying to take over the world. Their plan is to stop the Earth from revolving so that everyone flies off of the planet. So I guess gravity would stop, whatever. And the problem is they need money before they can do it. So they enter the Kentucky Derby, and the Brain finds the fastest horse, and he's going to be the lightest jockey. But Pinky picked another horse that ended up winning because it saved Pinky's life. And so Brain did not get all the money, and they're back at square one, basically.
Yeah. Well, basically, yeah. In this one, it's love, got in the way.
Love conquers all.
Because the horse named Farfignugan, falls in love with Pinky. Pinky, it was like love at first sight.
Mm-hmm.
It's interspecies dating. You remember that line in Muppets Take Manhattan, Nathan?
Yeah, I've dated some rats before, if that's what you mean.
Anyway. So yes, interspecies dating is going to happen in this, and it's cute. What do you guys think about this one?
I enjoyed it. It kind of reminded me of that Beetle Bomb.
Oh yeah, it's Spike Jonze.
Yeah,
and it's not Beetle Bomb. I know it sounds like Beetle Bomb. It's Fetal Bomb.
Oh, okay.
But yes, there's the Spike Jonze classic audio. I'll put a little bit of it in right here by Doodles Weaver. And Doodles Weaver, by the way, is the uncle of Sigourney Weaver. There you go.
Huh.
Hollywood facts. Check out the facts. It's a Hollywood facts, bro. So anyway, that's right there is kind of very similar. We have like a Farfignugan in the
very last,
last thing right there.
So. And then everyone else has funny names, kind of things, and.
Yeah, so it was very similar in that way to that.
And then at the very end, Newton wins.
Yeah,
right, and that's
exactly what happens in the Fetal Bomb one.
Yeah, he
right
always
there.
wins, and
yeah. There you go.
So there you go.
Kelly, what about you?
I thought it was a cute episode. I didn't remember it at first, but then I remembered Farfignugan, and I remember learning that jockeys weren't supposed to weigh a whole lot to be jockeys.
Yes.
Because of this episode. I was like, that's why they're generally like just shorter and smaller in stature, and so I learned something about horse racing from this episode.
There you go. They do mention Publishers Smearing House, I believe is what they say in this one, as the way to get the jockey from Daddy's what's it called? Daddy's Little Angel. That was the horse that they were
fastest.
That was the fastest. You're
but he's also
guaranteed
a mean
to win.
Looking horse, and he's Daddy's Little Angel. And it's just
ironic.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he says this is Ed McMahon from Publishers Smearing House, and actually Ed McMahon was not with Publishers Smearing House or Clearing House. Ed McMahon was part of the American Family Publishers. And I saw this in the reference guide, and I was like, I could have sworn he was from American, Publishers Clearinghouse.
Yeah.
But yeah, I checked it out, and it's totally not. It was like, I showed like an old clip of Ed McMahon and Dick Clark talking about, hey, it's the new sweepstakes, and fill this out, and you could be a $10 million winner, and look for the one with me on the envelope. So Ed McMahon was like the seal of approval for American Family Publishers. Right there.
Here's our latest $10 million winner, Andy Biggs. Congratulations. Are you glad you entered? You bet. It's unbelievable. Well, I'll tell you what. Watch your mail for the envelope with my picture. I'll announce the $10 million number before you know it. Don't miss out. Enter now.
Oh, yeah. The Isle of Yap was one of the horses. And the Isle of Yap was I think it was one of the answers to the first Pinky and the Brain cartoon that we saw.
In the Jeopardy?
In the Jeopardy. I'm pretty darn sure that it was, it was one of the answers or something like that.
Or a category. I was thinking it was a category.
Yeah. I definitely recognize that from Jip Parody. And then one of them was called Lego My Ego. Or no, not Lego My Ego. It was called Lego My Egoist, I think. Yeah. And let's see. the brain says, like, at the end, in the words of Willie Shoemaker, nuts. And Willie Shoemaker was a famous jockey.
Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be a shoemaker.
Yeah, very, like, over my head. Like, I do not follow horse racing at all. Yeah. Really.
I saw the movie Seabiscuit, and that's about it.
I saw Secretariat.
There you go. You guys know more about horse racing than I do, then, because I have not seen either one of those.
Just need to see, like, Racing Stripes, and then we'll have the whole...
Well, Nathan, did you get, without looking at any reference guide, the whole Farfig-Newton thing?
No, I mean, it sounded familiar, but I didn't know what it was from.
And Kelly, do you remember Farfig-Newton from the 90s, what that was?
I remember the name. I don't remember what it was.
Well, it was the feeling, I believe it's defined as the feeling of driving a Volkswagen Bug, or just a Volkswagen in general.
It starts the moment you start the car. An experience that's distinctly Volkswagen. The quick acceleration, the sense of control, the car's surprising responsiveness as if it were simply an extension of you. There is a word for this driving experience. Farfig-Newton. Farfig-Newton. It's what makes a car a Volkswagen.
It's actually German for driving enjoyment.
Driving enjoyment. So there we go.
The literal translation. So
yeah, but it was cute. Nice play on words, because now they changed it into a, like a Fig Newton, like the snack. So it's good. It's a nice pun on two different levels right there. Well, it was cute overall. Any other thoughts on this? Any other moments that we really liked about this?
I like that Pinky remembered what they would do tomorrow night.
Pinky, will you please stop that? I'm trying to concentrate on tomorrow night.
Right then, what are we going to do tomorrow night?
Guess.
Oh yeah, trying to take over the world. Right.
Yeah, he had some good pondering moments too. Like, isn't Regis Philbin already married?
Yeah, right. Pinky was very funny in this one, I thought. So.
Yes. Yeah, a lot funnier than I remember it, actually. I don't really understand the idea of throwing a magnet. The brain says at the beginning, we're going to go, and I forget the name of it, but he says, I'm going to go to the North Pole, and then we're going to throw this device, and then it will hit the twine, and it didn't make any sense to me.
It was not a sound theory at all.
But in order to do this, we need to get the money, and yada, yada, yada. It kind of makes sense, because isn't gravity dependent on the spinning of the Earth?
No, gravity is dependent on mass.
So the mass. Oh, that's right, because the mass of it, if you just become in gravitational pull,
it's
so if the Earth stops spinning,
inversely proportional to the distance between us.
Oh, there we go.
It's a product of our masses divided by distance squared.
Oh, is energy in that at all, or no? Is that E equals or no?
So, no, that's different. But so the more the two masses are, and the closer they are together, then the stronger the gravity is.
So
as you get further from Earth, there'll be less gravitational pull, and two giant masses will have more gravity against each other.
So if the Earth stopped spinning, we'd still be stuck on it. We'd just be on a non-spinning, and part of the planet would get hot, and the other part would get very cold.
So I don't know what you're thinking, brain. Some genius you are.
Yeah. Oh, well. Did not really work this time. But Kelly, any thoughts of this one?
No, I enjoyed it overall. I thought Brain looked really cute in his little jockey uniform.
I think that's about it for all the different segments. I think we should get to our water tower rating. All right, let's start with Kelly this time. Kelly, what do you think? How many out of 5 water towers, how many would you give episode 27?
I'll go with 3.5. I liked it overall. It just wasn't one of the standout episodes, but there wasn't really anything I disliked about it. It was, and I even like the Slappy segment, which normally I do feel like they're very formulaic, which is fine. It's a great formula, but I thought this one was better than some of the others.
Okay. Nathan, what about you?
I'm going also 3.5. I thought it was above average episode. So
There we go.
Yeah.
Guys, we're going to do it again. Triple agreement again.
Woo! Solid.
Triple 3.5. And no, a half clap. Clap. There.
I couldn't even hear that last
couldn't even
half
hear
clap.
that. That's why I had to say clap. Trust us, we were giving half claps right there at the end. So that's 3.5 claps for triple agreement.
Yeah, so it's a solid 3.5 episode, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Not a bad episode or any case, just, it was good.
Yeah.
Not necessarily on my, this would not be one of my ones that I show somebody like, oh, this is like
you haven't
primo.
seen Animaniacs yet? Like,
watch this. It's like, no, this is like, oh yeah, watch that. That's a good one.
Yeah, well, yeah, check that out.
Well, now that we got that done, let's head on over to the poll results from last week.
Hello there, this is your announcer again, coming to you live from the Water Tower Casino. That's right, I'm here and I am striking it rich. My luck has really changed and now I'm going to get all this money to help fix my house and go on a trip to Aruba. Ay, ay, ay. Well, here we go with last week's poll results. Listeners were asked, who is your favorite historical character in hashtag Animaniacs? Hashtag Animanicast poll. Round 2. 28% voted for Rasputin. 32% said it was Beethoven. But 40% said their favorite historical character in Animaniacs was Lincoln. So that's the winner of this round. And speaking of rounds, I think I'll have another round and play this game over here. This is the Chance Cube game. Excuse me, sir. Who are you? I'm the toy daddy. Oh, a toy daddy, you say? All right, put it all on blue. Yeah, just like you, my friend, right? Well, anyway. Well, let's go back to the studio with this week's poll question.
All right, so those were our results.
Ooh.
And Nathan, what did you vote for?
I voted for Rasputin.
Rasputin, why?
Because he's hypnotically powerful or something. He was a fun little villain for... I just enjoyed that episode.
All right, and Kelly, what about you?
I also went with Rasputin because of my interest in Russian history, and since this series was created before the movie Anastasia, it's the first time I think anyone actually turned Rasputin into a cartoon.
There you go.
Yeah, maybe.
I think that's a valid point.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a historical figure that screams, "I must be animated."
Exactly. Well, let's see. I'm going to go actually with Beethoven, just to be not necessarily because I don't know if it's the best cartoon out of the three. I just really like the voice work of Beethoven. Kenneth Mars did the voice of Beethoven, and of course he was in all those. He was in Young Frankenstein and The Producers, which are two Mel Brooks movies that I absolutely love. So based upon that and just how he would say certain lines like Beethoven and all that. I just
footsteps.
I really like those, so I'm going to go with Beethoven. So there we go. Well, we have a new poll question for this week, and Nathan, what is it?
Okay, well, we're going to get to the bottom of this. Who's more insane? We've heard this theme song, Pinky and the Brain. One is a genius, the other's insane. They both kind of seem insane. Who is more insane, Pinky or the Brain?
Okay, so we have a 50-50.
Yep.
Who is more insane?
Yeah.
Pinky
Never
or the
tell
Brain?
me the odds.
So there you go. So head on over to twitter.com/Animaniacast or simply search for hashtag Animaniacast poll and you should be able to find it pretty darn easily. We have right now some listener feedback and Nathan's here.
Feedback.
Is that the song?
Yeah.
Oh, let's try it one more time. Nathan, go.
Feedback.
That's pretty. Oh, that's even more energy than the first time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, first of all, on Twitter, we had a really nice comment from @soul_dwelling. And Soul Dwelling said, "Shout out to the Animaniacast. This podcast so far is one of the best episode-by-episode retrospectives. So that was a nice comment right there. Let's see, I believe we also have a new iTunes review, if I'm not mistaken, right, Nathan?
That's true. It says, review. This is by Jedi JD. Amazing podcast! !
There we go. Thank you, Jedi JD.
Yep.
And I like all Jedis out there to please go ahead and head on over to iTunes and leave us a positive review. And if you do leave a positive review, we will read it on the show.
That's right.
So there you go. Last week I had a question for the audience, and I asked everybody. It was the potty emergency episode, and Wacko at one point looks around and he's looking at people pouring lemonade and, drinking water out of the water fountain and so on and so forth. And this music plays, this musical cue starts playing. And, as we talked about, usually the musical cues have something to do with the action of what you're seeing, if you happen to know the title of the song. And I couldn't figure out what it was. And we had not one, not two, but 3 different listeners actually write in and identify that song. So first of all, I'm going to go over to the first person to email us, and that was Mr. Drew Ritkers. And Drew says, "Hi, the song in the park scene from Potty Emergency is called Drink to Me Only with Thine Eyes. It's a very old poem by Ben Jonson, who I believe is a contemporary of Shakespeare. The first two lines are, drink to me only with thine eyes, and I will pledge with mine. Hope that helps. My son Gavin and I listen to your podcast religiously, and by that I mean on the way to and from church every week." So that's all the best from Drew. So thank you very much, Drew. But that wasn't it. That wasn't all, I should say.
Oh, okay.
Because later on, Sarah emailed us and not only gave us a Wikipedia entry to that, but also links to another song which featured it, which was the classic, I think it was Merry Melodies cartoon with the little baby owl that sings "I love to sing." And his mom in that cartoon, his parents don't like him to sing that kind of jazzy song. They like him to sing "Drink to Me with Thine Eyes."
I love to sing. I love to sing about the moon and the June and the spring. I love to sing about a sky. Drink to me only with thine eyes, and I will pledge with mine.
Stop! 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 Enough is too much! Go on and sing about Jamuna and Jejuna about a swinger. Go on and sing
About a sky of blue or a T42, anything with a swinger to, and I love...
And of course, Curtis Findlay also emailed us.
What?
All these people, and he goes, "Hey, Joey, the song you were wondering about is Drink to Me Only with Thine Eyes," which totally relates to the scene. And you know what, Curtis? You're totally right. It totally does. So I know I was originally going to say, just the first person who gets to us will get a set of decals, but I'm feeling very generous, and it is the holiday season, so I'm going to send over to those 3 listeners some little Animaniacs decals out to you.
Sweet. That's nice.
So there you go. Happy holidays, everybody.
It's good that they all agreed on the...
Yeah, they all agreed. That would be funny more with this person says this and that person says that. But it was funny. I was talking to my wife, do you know what song that is? Do you know what song that is? And she goes, "Well, did you try Shazamming it?" And I'm like, "Well, no." But I was like, I don't think that'll work. Would it? So
it's hard to say.
I don't know. I'll have to try Shazamming it later on.
Just ask Siri. She has Shazam in her now.
Oh, you can just say, "Siri, what song is this?" Okay, I'll have to ask Siri later on tonight and see if she knows, and then I'll have to send Siri a decal too. Great. Okay, one more little bit of feedback from us. This comes from one of our listeners, Danielle, and she is a teacher. And she actually was asking us if she could cite us in an example essay for her students. And I was like, well, sure. You know how you're trying to, write an essay for the first time.
Yeah.
And, you see like, oh, here's the example essay of how to do it and everything like that. Well, she was writing one up for her kids, and I thought it was really cute. So, this is what it says. First of all, this is by, her student in this case is named Ralph the Guard.
Okay.
And the essay is entitled, "The Best of the Best, 190 Show to Rule Them All." And it says, "It's time for Animaniacs, and we're zany to the max. So just sit back and relax. You'll laugh till you collapse. We're Animaniacs." And then it cites Animaniacs. "Once you hear this theme song on television, you'll know you're in for a wild and hilarious ride. Animaniacs was created in 1993 by Steven Spielberg, yada, yada, yada." And it just and it goes through all the different stuff. And you might recognize Steven Spielberg from E.T., the Extraterrestrial, Back to the Future, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Steven Spielberg also, he dove into the field of animation as well. He brought the best writers and the best voice talent, the best animators for Animaniacs together as these brilliant individuals created animation gold. And it starts talking about, the different catchphrases that it has. And then Ralph the Guard talks about how there's references to television shows and movies and things like that. And in the last paragraph, here's the conclusion. "Animaniacs is a cultural icon. The catchphrases, characters, and animation are testament to which great cartoons should strive. The witty writing, superb voice acting, and collaborative animation from all over the world provided 90s kids with memories to last a lifetime. Interested? Netflix streams all 99 episodes. Not enough? Check out the podcast dedicated to the show called The Animanicast, which is filled with inside information on each and every episode of Animaniacs. No matter which way you like to learn about the show, Animaniacs has got you covered. Good night, everybody." And there we go.
Thank you,
So that was
Ralph.
Yeah, thank you, Ralph / Danielle. I thought it was really kind of cute that, she's helping promote the show right there.
All the kids are going to be...
Those innocent children.
They don't know what they're getting into.
Well, if any of those kids are listening, hi, how's it going, guys? Well, that was very nice and very flattering that Danielle decided to put us in there. So very awesome. Thanks, Danielle. Well, if you'd like to reach out to us and leave us some feedback, you can go to iTunes like we mentioned before, or you can send us an email, which is animanicast@retrozap.com. Well, let's go ahead and get over to other contact information as well. Nathan, let's start with you. How can people get in contact with you if they like to say hello?
Well, I'm on Twitter, but I don't think I can get any more followers. I'm at 20, so I think I'm maxed out.
Well,
I don't know if Twitter can get any more than 20.
I don't know. Let's find out, everybody.
I guess I'm at Django FT is where I'm at. If you want to see what I say when I sleep, there's also an In Sleep Talks. You can see what the things that my wife finds that I apparently I say these when I sleep. So
that is true, Kelly. You gotta follow. That is that one more time.
N Sleep Talks.
N Sleep Talks, like N for Nathan.
Yep.
N Sleep Talks. It is a very funny Twitter account, and Nathan says very weird things.
Yeah,
sleeping.
I've said some catchphrases on here actually.
Oh yeah, what did you say?
I like turtles. I said that again on that same night. I fell asleep saying that same catchphrase.
Yeah,
so.
If you think my brother's weird when he's awake, he's even weirder when he's asleep. And that documents it all. So there you go. And Kelly, what about you?
I'm also on Twitter, Yoda Princess, YODAPRNCSS, or you can email me, kelly@bigshinyrobot.com.
Very cool. Well, and of course you can go ahead and get in contact with us on Twitter, on Facebook. We're also over at retrozap.com/animanicast, where you can see a whole listing of our previous shows. And if you go over to retrozap.com, which of course you should, you can see a bunch of other articles and a bunch of other podcasts as well. The ARGcast, Beltway Banthas, Brews and Blasters, the Deucecast, the Dunecast, the Sandcrawler, Skywalking Through Neverland, Starships, Sabers and Scoundrels, Talking Apes TV, Techno Retro Dads, the Trade Federation, and We Know Nothing. Oh yeah, and we're on there too. So if you are interested in those, which especially if you're interested in Star Wars, then head on over to retrozap.com and you'll find a lot of cool podcasts to listen to. Well, with that, I think we're all done with this episode, and we will be back next time for episode 28, which is what, Nathan?
Moby or not Moby?
Moby or not Moby?
Oh, that's the question.
Yes, that is the question. And for Nathan and Kelly, this is Joey saying good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds of the Animaniacs characters or any other Animaniacs-related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Warner Brothers, Amblin Entertainment, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated.
Oh, the doodah day.